All right, I think we're all good to go. So I will go ahead and get started. So welcome guys to Eco Friend Club. So I know most of you, if not all of you, I recognize Yuna. Yuna has been in our Eco from last session. Awesome, welcome back Yuna. But most of you haven't been in Eco, so I'm just gonna kind of quickly go over what Eco Friend Club is about. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna meet every Tuesday at this time slot. So between 4:45 and 5:15, we're going to meet and we're going to talk about our different topics, all based around animals. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk really quickly about categories of animals. So how you determine what category a bear goes into or what category a cockroach goes into. We're going to talk about those things, and then we'll also have an activity at the end where you get to determine which category you think those animals go into and how they might be similar. And each week what we're going to do is we're going to be going through each category and talking about them. Also, a cool thing that we'll have is we have some animals, real live animals that are from Irvine that we are also going to be able to check out and talk about as well. I unfortunately don't have an animal today because I have to be home for this session, but as we go through on the weeks, we will have different animals we will also be able to see. We have animals at Irvine, not because they're our pets, but they're basically like our co-teachers. They basically help us teach kids about the animal itself. So we talk about what they are, what they do, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's another really fun thing that we'll be able to do as well as we go on through the weeks and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we'll do and everything. Awesome. So I see some of you or I know some of you have probably written down or drawn what your favorite animal was. If you would like to share anything, so I know everyone's on mute right now. What I want you to do is if you want to share something, I want you to raise your hand. So you can either raise it in your video, or if you know how to do, I know there's a way you can like raise your hand through the app, like through the Zoom or through the Google Meet. If you know how to do that too, great.
That's all through Google Meet.
Yeah, so whichever way you want to do it through, that's fine. And what I want you to do is, again, raise your hand if you want to ever add something, just because it's a lot easier for me just to call on you and then you can unmute yourself versus everyone just unmuting and then everyone talking. So to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to, if you would like to share, you don't have to, but we're going to introduce ourselves. So you can just say what your name is and tell us your favorite animal and one fact that you know about that animal. So I will go ahead and get started just to kind of start us off. So my name is Miss Emily, and my favorite animal is a turtle. I love every type of turtle that there are. And a fact about turtles is they have a shell that helps protect themselves, so that way they don't get injured. Anybody else want to share what their favorite animal is? All right, Jacob, do you want to start us off? Go ahead.
A cow ticks.
Well, what was your animal? Sorry, go ahead.
A cow.
A cow? Awesome, perfect. Do you know any facts about cows or anything cool that you like about them?
I just like about them because them tick and them have babies.
Ah, gotcha.
Them are my cutest friends.
Got it. Awesome. Wonderful, thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Kai, do you want to share? Go ahead.
I like dogs because they're nice and playful and cute to play with.
Awesome, perfect. I love dogs too. Does anybody have a dog as a pet? Do a few people have dogs? Awesome, I have a dog too. She's really cute.
I used to have dogs.
Oh, awesome. Yep, let's say.
We had to put them down.
Oh, well, yeah, that sometimes happens. Sometimes, but who else would like to share their favorite animal and a fact they know? Jackson, did you want to share? Go ahead.
Deer.
Cool.
And because they run fast, and I like running fast.
Awesome. Love it. Deer.
High.
Wonderful. Good. Love it. I haven't gotten deer yet, so deer is a really cool one. Thank you. Evelyn, did you want to share? Go ahead.
My favorite animal is a chameleon, and they eat bugs.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So chameleons are really cool animals. I love it. And you're right, they do eat bugs and stuff like that. They're really, really cool, really neat. Before we move on, anybody else want to share what their favorite animal is before? If not, that's totally fine. We can always share more at the end and stuff like that. So great. If not, we can just keep on moving forward. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to pull out your first handout. So this paper right here that says classifications of animals, you can grab that paper out and we're going to really quickly kind of go over what that is. So once you look at your paper, you see we basically take animals as a really, really big category and we then break them down into smaller categories. So animals can be broken down into all of these smaller categories until you get to that basic animal. So for example, we have two main categories that we're going to talk about that break up animals in two big groups. So the first group is called vertebrates, and the second group is called invertebrates. So this, if you're looking at your paper, this is your first section right here. So your vertebrates, I'm sorry, it's a little bit difficult. Vertebrates here and invertebrates here. Does anybody know what the main difference is between the two? If you're reading it, it will say, and or if you just look at the pictures of the animals that are under each group, do you kind of see what the differences are? Or want to guess? Yeah, Jackson, go ahead.
Vertebrates are more bigger animals that are cold-blooded and warm-blooded, and invertebrates are like sea creatures.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. So if you look at the two groups, you can see size is a big difference, as well as a lot of these animals live in different places or different habitats. So for example, like Jackson said, looks like some of these animals, like your crustaceans, like your lobster and crab, they live in the water. Whereas your other category that has your birds and stuff like that, they don't live in the water. Well, most birds don't. And they're a little bit bigger. So perfect. That is a great way to kind of see the differences. Anybody else want to take a guess as to what those two differences are? If not, we can go right into it. So the main difference between the two categories, so you have your invertebrates and your vertebrates. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to feel the very back of your neck, kind of down to where your kind of back starts. And do you guys feel this really hard thing that's right back there? You guys feel that? You probably feel it, even if you dig a little bit. So if you feel that, that should be your backbone. You can also feel it. It goes all the way down your back, down the middle. You can obviously also feel your bones in your fingers, right? If you squeeze your fingers together, you can feel the bones on your fingers. So what that is and what that category is that is vertebrates. That's what we are as humans. So what that means is that you have bones inside your body. So as you can see, there's a whole group of animals that have that. They have bones inside their body. And then you have animals that have something different. So you have animals that have either no bones or they have bones that are more on the outside. It's kind of like a big shield on their body. And that is what an invertebrate is. So invertebrates don't have bones inside their body. They have bones kind of on the outside, or they don't have bones at all. And then you have animals like us that have bones inside our body that you can feel. And they all are a little bit different, but they all have that inside. So I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to focus on, what our main groups are, is that kind of second category. It's our vertebrates. So then you go down to your next group. So as you can see, we have our vertebrates, and then we have our two groups from there. We have our cold-blooded and our warm-blooded animals. Does anybody want to guess as to what the difference between those two are? Between what does it mean to be cold-blooded versus warm-blooded? Jackson, do you want to give it a try? Go ahead.
Because cold-blooded animals like snakes, they like to be laying on warm rocks, and warm-blooded creatures like to be in the coldness.
Ooh, I like what you're thinking. You're almost completely there, pretty close. Anybody want to add anything? or not, I can always then just go right into it. So you're almost there, Jackson, pretty close. But basically the difference is, so warm-blooded and cold-blooded doesn't necessarily mean your temperature is either warm or cold. What it means is that you aren't able it depends on if you're able to keep your body warm or you're not able to keep your body warm or cool. So for example, if we look at our warm-blooded animals, we have our mammals and we have our birds. So both of those categories, we are a mammal as well, we're humans. And they are able to keep their body at a certain temperature just by hanging around. So you don't have to think about keeping your body warm or cold. Your body already does that for you. In comparison, for a cold-blooded animal, they have to think about if they're warm or cold, and they have to do things to help them either get warmer or help them get cooler. How would you get warmer if you were really, really cold? What would you do if you're really cold, let's say in your house or outside? What do you do to get yourself nice and warm? Jacob, go ahead.
Put a jacket on.
Put a jacket on, exactly. You put layers on. Anything else you do to keep yourself warm? Jackson, go ahead.
Sometimes we have a fireplace, and when we like come back inside, we always go downstairs, and then me and my dad light it.
Perfect. Yeah. So you go to somewhere that's warm. Awesome. So yeah. So either you put on some layers if you're cold, or you go somewhere that's warm, maybe by a heater or by a fire or something like that. That'll help keep your body nice and warm. What do you do if your body is cold? Yuna, did you want to add? Go ahead.
I snuggle up with the blanket inside.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So you snuggle up if you are cold like that. Perfect. What do you do? I think I should say, what should you do if you're too hot? So you're really hot. It's the summertime. You're super, super hot outside. Daniel, go ahead. What do you do?
Turn off the air conditioner.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you are really, really hot, you might turn on air conditioning to help kind of cool your body down. Kai, what would you do? Go ahead.
I would get a nice cold drink of water.
Perfect. So getting yourself a nice cold drink of water to help cool the inside of your body down. What else? Let's see. Jacob, go ahead.
I'm in a pool to cool my whole body down.
You said get in a pool to cool your whole body down?
Yeah, and we know where some are. At Aunt Laura's and at Aunt Peggy's.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you would go in a body of water to get yourself nice and cool. Let's see. I think Casey has been added on. Casey, did you want to add? Go ahead.
I thought you didn't know my name.
Oh, no, I think I know, but say I have your name down. So is it Casey? Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Did you want to add? Did you want to say, what do you do when you're really hot?
You cool down.
Yeah, you cool down, right? Yeah, so you have to find ways to cool down. So you guys gave some good examples. You go in water, you get yourself some nice cold water. You might go in air conditioning, stuff like that. Perfect. Yeah. So that's what you do to make yourself cool. And so animals that are cold-blooded, they have to do certain things to get themselves cool as well. So they need to go into water if they're too hot, or if they're too cold, they need to go into some sort of heat. So they might go in the sun. They might go underground. They might go different places to help them. So that's kind of the main difference between the two. So what I want you guys to do is go to your next paper. So this sheet that we have that has your 6 categories on it, I want you to look at that paper. Yes, Casey, did you have a question? Go ahead.
I don't think I have that type of assignment.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, but say take a second if you need to grab it or anything. But if you guys look at that paper, you can see we have 6 categories that it shows. So we're gonna kind of focus on these 6 categories for each week. Sorry, here's the paper. So it has your 6 different categories of your animal types. So like I said, each week we're going to be looking at each specific type of animal, each category, and we're going to talk more about them. But I figured it would be nice just to kind of review and look at these animals that we're going to kind of look in more depth about and stuff like that. So our first category is our amphibians. We also have reptiles, we have fish, we have birds, we have mammals, and we have insects. So all 6 of these categories is, like I said, they're all special groups, and each of these groups are different from each other and how you categorize an animal, if that makes sense. So each one is different, and each one has their own special thing that makes them that. So if you were to find a random animal out in the woods somewhere, you would know which category that animal is supposed to go into, if that makes sense. So like I said, we're not going to go over each category today just because we are running out of time and I want to make sure we have time for our activity. But just kind of looking at it, you can kind of, like I said, just kind of see the different categories. Again, seeing some animals that are also in those categories as well. As I mentioned, next week and the weeks to come, we'll go over each one. So we're going to end on our activity that we have. Yes, Yuna, did you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
I'm already all done with my project.
Awesome, perfect. If you were, I think I saw you working on it. For those of you who were not, that's totally fine. We'll just kind of go over together. So what you'll need is you'll need your 2 papers. So your first paper category has your main animal characteristics. So you have your 4 categories. You'll have your fish, mammals, insects, and birds. And then on your second paper, you'll have your categories of those different animals and examples of them. So you'll see all these different animal examples as well between the 2 different papers. So if you want to grab those 2 out, we're going to go over what the activity is in just a moment. All right, if you don't have those papers, again, totally fine. We'll just kind of go over it together as well. And or if you finished it already, I'll have some other things for you to do with it. So that way you're not just sitting there. All right, so if you have your papers, perfect. What I want you guys to do, so if you look at your top of your first page, just so we can review it, like I said, you'll see we have our fish category. And in the fish category, you'll see trout as an example. Next one over. We have our mammal category. An example of that is a horse. Next one over is an insect. Example of that is an ant. And last but not least, we have our bird. An example of that is a lovely cardinal. What I want you guys to do, if you have scissors, if not, that's totally fine. We'll figure out another way. But I want you guys to cut out each of these animals, each block of the different types of animals that you have. And from there, I want you to then categorize them in which group they go with. So if you don't have scissors, that is totally fine. You can always just draw whatever that animal is in your other section, or you can just kind of color or write out what that name is. So if you don't have scissors with you to cut them out and put them over, again, that's fine. If you do, though, like I said, you can go ahead and start cutting out each of your different animals. And like I said, putting them in the category that they fit in. So once you have all of your animals cut out, like I said, you can look at them and kind of guess or figure out where you think they go to. Now, if you've already finished that, what I want you to do is I want you to start coming up with some reasons or some things that they have in common. For example, if you look at all of your birds, once you have your birds cut out and you put them all in their category, I want you to look and come up with 3 different things that they all have in common with each other. So is it color? Is it something they have on their body that looks similar? Is it maybe something that they eat that is similar? Stuff like that. Yes, Casey, go ahead.
My mom's cutting it out because Nana has some scissors, but I can't use them because they're big.
That's not a problem. That's totally fine. She can cut them out. Like I said, if you have scissors, great. If not, that's okay too. And or you can take the time to cut them out. Don't feel rushed or anything like that as well. So, like I said, you can work on cutting out your different animals. And like I said, trying to piece it together on which category they go into. I will give you a hint. It is pretty straightforward on how you can figure out which group they are. But it's also nice to see kind of what the different animals are in that group. So you can work, kind of continue on that. Perfect. I see some of you have them already being cut out, or you are cutting them out, which is great. Like I said, don't feel rushed to try and get them through. I'm just going to kind of keep on talking about what we're going to be doing after that as well. So like I said, put them in each category that they fit in, and also start to think about how they are the same in that category, because that is exactly what we're going to do in the next few weeks. We're going to go over each category and kind of talk about them a little bit further and everything. All righty. Perfect. See, everyone is focused, which is awesome. Make sure I have everyone. All righty. So what we will go ahead and do, just because I know you guys are working on that, and I want you to continue to work on it, we will go ahead and get logged off. I know we're about a minute or two early. But like I said, go ahead, cut them out, get them all arranged. Like I said, you can glue them on, or you can just kind of put them in that category. And as I mentioned, we will kind of review it next week. So we'll go over, we'll start to focus on each type of animal category. Also too, we'll have some examples of those animals, like I said, from Irvine. And then we'll kind of go from there. So kind of like how we're doing right now, this will be kind of your typical layout. We'll talk about our topic. We'll do an activity or see something, see an animal, and then we'll have a craft or activity at the end and stuff. Yes, Casey, did you have a question? Go ahead.
I like you so much because I love to do squats so much.
Awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad. Awesome. Well, like I said, continue to work on that. As I said, we'll go over it for next week. So don't feel like you need to rush to finish it all right now. We'll review it and everything by next week and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, let me know. But if not, I will see you guys next week. So